Hey, we're back with Telluride TV. I'm Lindsay Mills, and I am sitting here with the director of Satan and Adam. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Great, thank you. Welcome to Telluride.
Thank you.
Big, exciting weekend.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you? Where'd you come from?
I'm Scott Balcerek, director of Satan and Adam. I live in Oakland, California, and I've been making this particular film since 1995. I feel like it's been such a long haul, and to come here to we didn't premiere here, but to play the festival has just been an amazing experience.
Right, and you premiered at Tribeca.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about that? How was your premiere?
Yeah, I was super nervous. I've been working on the film for so long, and it's New York, and I was afraid of the questions that would be asked about the movie, and just the whole festive nature of Tribeca. It's such a big festival, so many movies, so many people. But yeah, it was great, and to have Satan and Adam come to the festival and show up there was just a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
And especially as the story is initially rooted in New York, I think
Exactly.
it's a special place to premiere.
Matter of fact, we even took them up to Harlem, and they played on the street.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, after the premiere, the next day we went up and they played in the street. A couple people came by from, they recognized them, and it was a really touching moment.
Yeah. So you've been working on this film for 20 odd years. How did this start for you? What sparked, and why spend so much time investing in one film?
At the time I was living in Pittsburgh, it was like 91 or something. 91 probably, and I was editing a film that went on to win the Student Academy Award. And it was a friend of mine, and it was about a street singer in Pittsburgh. And at the time, Satan and Adam were touring, and someone had mentioned, you should see this band that's very much like this film you're cutting, because they're street musicians. They started out on the street, and now they're playing clubs, and they're touring around. So I went, and I was just blown away by their synchronicity. Their connection was something that just to experience the sound they were putting out, and the sort of, Sterling would go off in these extended jams, and Adam would just sort of follow him in perfect lockstep, and it's almost, for two people they made a sound that sounded like five people. It sounded like five people, and I was just hooked, and I'm a musician as well, and I was hooked on that, but I had no idea what it would turn into, what it has come to be.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Tell me a bit about why Mountainfilm felt like a good fit for you. Their relationship is so unique, and the indomitable spirit is something that is very much celebrated over the course of the last 40 years in Mountainfilm, and both of them represent that very well.
They do. I think the film, at its core, one of the major themes is keep on keeping on, and you could say that for, the sports-minded musicians. Sterling loses a lot in his life, and he keeps going, and he sort of lives up to the blues adage, which is basically keep moving forward. Yeah. And I think it represents what Mountainfilm stands for in some sense, that perseverance. And also that acceptance of life. We're all human. We have our limitations, but we can exceed them sometimes. And other times, we have to live with what we have and celebrate that.
Yeah. And
I think the film kind of speaks to those themes.
I would definitely agree. And coming from their relationship blossoming in a time of racial strife in Harlem, and then going on through things that everybody has to go through, getting older and seeing people fade and change in your vision of who they are. It's a special story in that sense. Tell me about your opportunity to get involved in their relationship over the course of the time that you've been working with them, filming them, and creating this story.
Well, I feel like I got in early, and I was so young when I started that I felt like if I had approached, I was, into music films in general, and I felt like if I approached someone who was sort of famous, that I would just be shunned aside, who are you? You never made a movie before. And so in some ways, I felt like they would give me a chance, and they did, So I as I met them, I really got on with them. And I came to New York and film. I got some grant money. That's how I started.
Huge.
And so I got to know them. And Sterling is a beautiful man, just a sweetheart. And he was not only a great musician, but just a very interesting person, as you see in the film. And Adam was super supportive. And I think being a musician helped, because we were sort of talking the same language. And then they were very willing to tell their story, and I think that's one of the reasons I kept going, because of
Yeah, and their positivity, I think, must just radiate. That,
oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah, fantastic. So, what was one of the most difficult parts about creating this film and telling this story?
Well, I thought that I was documenting a band on a rise, which isn't really a band. There's two people, but they sound like a band. And I thought, this is so novel that I think this could go somewhere big. And I was sort of hoping that that's what I would be tracking. They would get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But that didn't happen. And so I think one of the big things for me is when I found Sterling again after he had sort of his breakdown, just showing up and seeing how debilitated he had become was a big juncture point for me. As like, what am I going to do? Do I continue shooting this, or I just leave it? And it was a couple hard decisions, because I felt like, not that I was exploiting him, but it's like it's like if any of us get sick, you don't want people around really. But his heart is so big. He let me in, and he let me in his most vulnerable moments. Opened his life up to me, and once he did that, I felt like I owed it to him to continue, and I think that's part of the reason I kept going.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful story to tell, in the sense that, in a way, Sterling lost his language. You made a very good point in being able to speak to each other as musicians in a language that you know well through music, and it's interesting to see the change in Sterling as you help reintroduce music to his life. How do you see that relating to your life and your work going forward, potentially?
I think mine's in line with what Adam felt, is that I think I have big expectations, and I'm hard on myself. And in the movie, you notice that Adam says, he wasn't the old Satan, and I had to come to terms with that and just let it be what it is and celebrate that. And I think that was a lesson for me as I go on to do more films, is to not put so much pressure and let things unfold as they do, and try to be ready for that. Yeah.
It's critically important to be able to adapt and adjust and let the story unfold in front of you. But I imagine that's one of the most difficult parts of filmmaking.
It is, yeah, because you want it to be done.
Yeah.
Right away, and it can be arduous.
Yes.
As we all know.
And 20 odd years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you made a beautiful, beautiful film.
Thank you.
Tears were shed, both happy and, remorseful, sad. But it was a beautiful, beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing with us and with Mountainfilm. And definitely, when you have time, go check out Satan and Adam. And we will see you around the festival.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.